Hello and welcome to Let's Talk About It with Taylor Nolan. I am your host, Taylor, and I would like to wish everyone, men and women, a happy International Women's Day, belated. Last Friday was International Women's Day, and I'm just so thankful for all of the powerful, strong, resilient, just amazing women that I have in my life and that we see on social media and in politics now. And I'm really excited to see where this next year will take all of us ladies, and really appreciate the support and just everything that I've seen in my community around empowering women. And today I want to invite someone on the podcast who I think has really kind of embodied that on Instagram of just keeping it really real as a woman and sharing about, her struggles with mental health and doing that in a way that's encouraging for others and kind of a model in a way as to how to embrace that vulnerability, because it's not always comfortable to talk about these troubling things. So you guys might recognize her. She was on Arie's season of The Bachelor, and then she was also on this past season of Bachelor in Paradise. And I have been following her for a while now and have not actually had a chance to meet her yet, but I know she's a real estate agent in Florida and has a history in pageants, actually, and has just been really open on her social media about her struggles with mental illness. So I'm really excited to talk to her today. So welcome, Caroline, to the show, and thank you so much for being here.
Awesome. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. So I think when I obviously I watched you on Arie's season. I only watched the first couple episodes of that, but thought you were badass cool. And just super outspoken, just very confident in yourself. And then from following you on Instagram, you've shared a lot of your struggles with mental health and have been really outspoken about that. And we haven't really actually talked or ever met really, but I've always felt like you were someone from Bachelor world that I was I think I could maybe be friends with her. And she seems really cool. And I was we got to get her on here to talk about all this mental health stuff.
Yeah, I could go on and on for days about it all. But the best is for watching my season. If you only caught a couple episodes, then you caught all my work, because I wasn't there very long. Yeah. It wasn't for me.
Yeah. Was not for me either.
And here we are.
Yes, glad we have found each other in this. And so part of what I've seen you share on your Instagram and on your stories, which again, I just want to say I love that you do. And I think that's such an important space that, especially people from the show that have this platform, that they do something with it, something positive that people can learn from, and that you do take that chance to be vulnerable. And so I very much thank you for taking that risk on social media of being vulnerable with your struggles and where you're at, because it's not easy.
Well, there's only so many FabFitFun boxes you can promote until
Exactly.
you're wait a minute, you have to put some substance here, woman.
Yep. Exactly.
So you know what I mean? It's just all the balance, really.
Yes. Yeah. And so for you, I'm curious kind of where all of this, where these struggles with mental health kind of started. If this is something that, the struggling with depression, if that started early on in high school, or if this is kind of a outcome of the show that you've got more in touch with, or kind of what your experience with therapy has been around mental health.
I wish I could blame it all on the show, because that would just seem so much more The Bachelor ruined me. But no, it's been something I've struggled with for, I think when I really noticed I was struggling a lot was technically when I left for college. I think that was a huge drastic change where your whole life and your routine kind of gets out of whack. And then, but looking back on it now, it's something that's definitely, I've gone off probably forever. I mean, maybe not as bad, because, when you're in high school and stuff, things aren't always, but where for me it all, I feel stems from is I grew up in an abusive household. And I I don't talk about it as much as I should. And I really would like to, I probably should shed a little more light, maybe like do a YouTube video or something.
Yeah. And we can talk about it now too.
Yeah. But so with my dad is bipolar. Okay. And I grew up in like an extremely abusive environment. And like the problem is that my dad never hit us. So it feels like it's okay. Like it was so verbally abusive. Like I grew up being called a C word.
You can say words on here. It's okay.
All right. Well, yeah, I don't know. It's a harsh one, so I don't know. So yeah. like I paused. And I was like, I don't know if I say it, but like, because that word, it just cuts so deep. But yeah, I grew up being called like a cunt and selfish and stupid and like all of these things. And like my dad was struggling with this like terrible rage inside of him, like holes punched in walls. Like he picked up my like computer and threw it across the room. He like snapped one of the posts off. Like I had a 4-post bed. He snapped like one of the posts off of that. And
this was all while you were like under 10 that you were experiencing all of this?
Yeah. 18 and under, like all of it. And so like my whole life.
And did you know that he was struggling with mental illness, or was this just kind of like, oh, this is just my dad?
The problem is it's just your norm. Like, so it wasn't until like I would, sleep over friends' houses and stuff like that and just see how like cute and like kind and nurturing their fathers were. And I'll never forget like the way that like I was at my friend's house one night in high school, and for breakfast the next morning, her dad made us oatmeal, and he put like orange juice in like a champagne glass and like cut up strawberries for us, like while we like did our makeup for school. And it just like is the stupidest little thing, but like looking back on it, I feel so bad for my younger self, just being like, oh, you poor girl, like you just didn't know. Like my heart like totally broke, being like, that dads do that, like because mine was just so toxic. But my mom, she's a badass. So I feel like my dad just was in jail like last fall, which blows my mind, which is a huge piece for me recently having it's something that triggers my depression and my anxiety. And so like when things go on with him, so it's like a huge, massive trigger. So, but because of my mom, I feel like I don't feel as fucked up as I should, I guess.
Well, you were able to have your mom as someone that can maybe help with healing through all of this, and maybe a positive role model to look to in terms of, how you cope with life and how you handle situations. Okay, so it's time for a little mini break here. I want to share one of our sponsors for the podcast today, and that is Third Love. You guys might have heard me talk about them before. They have the most comfortable bras, and you don't even have to really go anywhere. You guys can actually skip the trip to the store and find your fit with Third Love's online fit finder. Order and then try on at home. There's no more like awkward fitting room experiences. Like skip that. And you get 100% fit guarantee. So every customer has 60 days. There's a lot of days to wear it, wash it, put it to the test. And if you don't love it, you can actually just return it, and Third Love will wash it and then donate it to a woman in need. So it doesn't go to waste, which this is one of my favorite things about this company, because so many other bras and clothing and stuff just all goes to waste. And so the fact that they're going to donate it to women in need is just amazing. They have a team of expert fit stylists that are dedicated to helping you find your perfect fit. And they actually have fit stylists available every day to help you via text, chat, or phone, which like that's some customer service for you right there. And you get returns and exchanges are all free and super, super easy to do. So Third Love knows that there's honestly a perfect bra for everyone, regardless of your shape or your size. So right now they are offering you guys, my wonderful listeners, 15% off of your first order. So you guys can go to thirdlove.com/Taylor now to find your perfect fitting bra. It's so comfortable too. And get 15% off your first purchase. That's thirdlove.com/Taylor for 15% off today. So make sure you check them out. And thank you, Third Love, for being a wonderful sponsor. And now we can get back to Caroline. I want to touch on a little bit the fact that you said that you kind of had this moment where, you like think to your, the child version of yourself, and that, like you just feel really sorry for her. And I think that's so powerful to do, and something I've even had to go back and do recently, where it's like, I think just taking that little step to reflect on and almost kind of have like an inner dialogue with your inner child can be so healing, because so often the times that we're feeling pain in our adult life are stemming from the pain that was unresolved or left unhealed in our childhood. So
absolutely. So my mom, she was, there's your higher self that you have, and there's like this image that you have of your higher self. And it's funny, my mom's like, I see your higher self. And she she explains this like 3 or 4-year-old version of me. And like, I can see there's this like one photo where like I had this like little bob haircut with like a little like stupid ponytail on the top of my head, and just like this cute like little romper on. And my mom's like, that's like your higher self. And so she's like, when you're struggling and things like that, it's like, it's a kind of empowering thing as an adult to think about, the child in you and like the child that you used to be, because I feel like we're so quick to not take care of ourselves the way that we need to. But like, when you think about like, if you could go back in time and go as you are right now and go like in a time machine and see your younger self, like, and this little kid has no idea that you're you and it's the same person or whatever. But there's just like, if you could go and like hug your younger self, it's just this weird, like empowering thing to think about. Like, you owe it to that child to take care of yourself right now, because like, does that make sense? I don't know if that's translating well, but I just think we're so quick to like, oh, I'm me, I don't care. Like, I'll be fine. But
the
it's
past
like,
is in the past.
Right. But you owe it to that child to like give that kid the best future. And hey, guess what? That's you. Like, it's weird to think about it like that, but I guess I have to sometimes, because I struggle so much. Then it's like, and you don't, when you struggle with depression and anxiety, it's really hard to take care of yourself sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, cool, you brushed your hair today. Yeah.
It's the small things that count sometimes. And it's important to celebrate those little things, even though they might feel kind of silly. And I'm curious, talking about how you take care of yourself, I'm wondering for you what that process actually looks like, when you think back to this inner child and, just conceptualizing and being in that place of like this little girl whose dad is calling her a cunt, like, of how you speak to that now. Like, how do you speak to her?
So I'm still working on it. It's still something I'm figuring out daily. And like, and I think that's part of the reason why I take to social media when I'm going through stuff, because it's part of like the process. I'm in no way like healed, but I think like recognizing that you need help is like a huge step. Like, and
then you were saying in college that during that transitional period, that's kind of when did you seek therapy then?
I did a little bit, but the hardest part for me was, so my dad was so abusive growing up. And he just like wasn't present in any way, shape, or form. So my mom looked to me as a co-parent.
Yeah.
And
are you you have siblings?
Yeah. So I have, my brother is 10 years younger than me, and my sister is 5 years younger than me.
Oh yeah.
So like, I just fell into this like parental role with them, and I love it because I love them more than anything. However, there's a huge piece of my childhood that I was robbed of.
Yeah.
And so like, it takes, some therapy to realize that. And then, but when I got to college and I didn't have to take care of anyone but myself, I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah.
I, you know what I mean? You get there and you're like, okay, like, and you don't have like this like routine schedule of like, hey, there's a sport. Like, I didn't play sports in college, like, you know what I mean? So like, I wasn't getting the like endorphins I needed through exercise, through like, I did cheerleading. I wasn't very good at it, but like I was going, and like they make you run and they make you sweat. And like, there's that sense of kind of community that you have through that. And I went to this school where I just didn't connect with anyone. I didn't do a sorority. And I just kind of would watch a lot of HGTV in my dorm room. And kind of like, I even stopped going to classes. Like, I don't talk about this often because I'm really embarrassed about it, actually. But
it's a safe place, no judgment.
Yeah. But I went to school and I didn't even make it a semester. Like I stopped going to classes. I would call my mom from like, I had like a walk-in closet in my dorm, which is wild that happened, but I did. And I would sit in there and like call my mom, and she was like, oh my God, like this is bad. Like, and I didn't really, and I was like, no, I'm just like in here because it's quiet and I can talk to you. But also like, you're also hiding in your closet to like call your mom. Like that's not normal. And so I was in Orange County going to school at Chapman University, and I made it like 11 seconds there, and I had to come home, and I like needed, my family to kind of help me figure things out. But also, so my senior year in high school, my mom was hit by a drunk driver, and she was in the hospital for 3 months, and I had to take care of my whole family because my dad wasn't present. And then, so like, then transitioning to, I left home, I moved out until my dad moved out, because it was just like, it's just a whole mess of things, but all that stuff like is such a trigger for all of that you figure out. So I think so many people are so quick to kind of say the past is in the past, but I think in order to heal who you are when you actually are struggling here, you have to reflect on those moments and realize like, hey, you're allowed to be a little fucked up from that, but like you can't stay fucked up forever.
Yeah. Damn, I wish I could give you a hug right now.
That's okay.
I'm giving you a virtual hug. Yeah. I mean, I already I feel like I got a sense that like you were this nurturing person. You were like this strong, badass, just like confident woman, and learning more about your story. Like, yeah, it makes sense. Like you really had to step up and take care of your family and, be a positive role model for your siblings and, be the rock for your mom while she's emotionally dealing with this stuff with your dad. And that I'm assuming that didn't leave a whole lot of space for you to feel like, you could maybe process or that you could be affected by all of this. And that as life goes on, as it does, that you just kind of get a little lost in it all. And I mean, I don't think that, I don't think that, dropping out and leaving school is anything to be ashamed of or embarrassed of. I mean, for someone with a, stable, healthy family, that transition can be difficult on its own, let alone dealing with everything that you dealt with and that your family was experiencing. Like, well, no wonder, that makes a lot of sense that'd be really hard to stay with that and to be focused. And I mean, it sounds like you made the best decision for yourself in that moment.
Yeah. So, I mean, the problem is like, you try and keep doing these things and you try and go through the motions of like normal life. But I think the biggest thing I can say to people when they're going through something like that is just to talk about it, because it feels weird and it feels like you're broken. And I've never actually really truly felt broken except for one time where my ex's mom, like I was on anti-depressants and I left them on the kitchen counter and she found them, and she's the only person in my life who actually really made me feel like I was broken, because my mom always did such a good job of like wearing all the hats and like making our house like such a great home, even though it was broken. But like, it's so weird when you actually feel like, wait, like, wow, I actually come from like a really fucked up family. And it's like to feel that. And that was the hardest part, because she made not only me feel broken, but she made my mom feel broken. And that I was just like, that's not okay. Fuck you. Like,
and this was because she made a comment about your medication.
Well, so she definitely saw it on the counter, because that's where like this conversation stemmed from. And so she was really like pressing my mom, and I thought my mom, like, so we were at my ex's, he was a hockey player. We were at his game and they were just over like in the corner, like talking, and I'm like, oh, cool. Like they're hitting it off. Like, yay.
Yeah.
And then my mom's like, hey, come to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh, like I want to go like do this, whatever. She's like, no, come to the bathroom with me. And like the look of my mom's face, like really sucked, because my mom is very much a battered woman who tried her absolute hardest to make everything as normal as possible. And it just really sucked to see my mom feel so little because of the way, she was like really pressing, like, oh, is like this hereditary, like, and asking all these like really probing questions about my dad, which obviously isn't something easy to talk about, especially like in this environment and from someone she had just met. Like, I don't know, you know what I mean? It just wasn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, I mean, when you're already working so hard to, you know, be kind of the rock of the family and have that strong face, and that then for another woman to kind of call you out on that in a way, and perhaps in a little bit of a shaming way, like that's really heartbreaking. Okay, I just want to take a little break right here to share one of our sponsors, Cove, who has helped me so much. I get like the worst migraines. My neck gets so tight where I can barely move it. And it's honestly like it takes me out for the whole day. But now it's actually a little bit easier to treat my migraines from the comfort of my own home, thanks to Cove. So I actually get treated from home. Cove starts out with a simple consultation by a licensed physician. And then the prescription that they determine is best for you is sent directly to your door. So it's all personalized. After your consultation, your doctor creates and tailors your individual course of treatment. And then Cove will reach out in a few weeks afterwards to see how you're feeling. And then it's really helpful too, because you're also kind of getting educated. They really break down everything you need to know about migraines and migraine treatment. So I learned a lot about what's actually going on. And I've been supervised by a licensed practitioner that's like actually in my state. So I know actually what's going on, and I'm building this relationship with this person, and all the migraine medication that's prescribed is approved by the FDA, which obviously you don't want to take medication that's not approved by the FDA. So if you guys also suffer from migraines, the last thing you need is to wait to see your doctor. With Cove, there's finally a way to get you the help that you need when you need it. And when you use my special link, you'll get your first month of treatment for free. It's a whole month of treatment for free. So go to withcove.com/Taylor. That's withcove.com/Taylor. Again, that's withcove.com/Taylor. And now we can get back to the show. You mentioned that you were on antidepressants. And so I'm curious, timeline-wise, like when that started for you and like what your process, I mean, obviously this was kind of like a shaming experience that you had around it. So kind of like how you cope with that, because the medication is a very tricky thing. And I know.
So for me personally, I don't like taking any medication, which I know sometimes like I should. And for me, it's more of like at that point in time, I honestly would call my sister and be like, I've lost a lot of people in my life to suicide. So it's not something I take lightly.
Yeah.
And it's not something I would ever, like, I never obviously want to do that because I know how much it hurts the people that you leave behind. But there's this weird thing and I can't explain it. It's like, you know how you have like a good angel on your shoulder and then the devil on the other shoulder? Like there's the two. It's almost like there's this like weird whisper in your ear, and you have a conscious brain here. But there's this weird whisper that happens when you're going through such a hard time and in such a dark place where like I was suicidal and I don't know why. And it's so hard to figure out and explain. And because it doesn't make any sense, because you know what, everyone sees me like, wow, like you have such a good life and like things are great. And you're like, and you can't put it into words. And I was going through such a hard time. So I would call my sister and like, you know, she's been such a rock for me. But so for me with the antidepressants was something that kind of helped me get back to like zero. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
instead of being at like negative 100, you were able to get back to.
Exactly. And so I personally, like, I mean, obviously if people who are listening, please talk to your doctors and find something that works for you. But for me, I don't really like the way that they make me feel all the time. It's get back to zero for me. That's when I use them. But otherwise, I like to try and find like holistic things that help me. And just taking care of my body and like really like listening to myself and talking when I need help. So it's just, that's what works for me. And sometimes it doesn't work that great, because I think the biggest reason why when I fall like off track is because I think I'm fine.
Yes.
And so you stop taking care of yourself and doing the little things that you know you need to do. And then life gets really hectic and chaotic. And for me, when I fall out of like a routine and like I'm not going to the gym and taking care of myself, that's where those like kind of that darkness can creep in.
Yeah. And another kind of disclaimer I'll add in here for listeners is that, you know, if you are prescribed medication, to make sure that you are also continuously and consistently also seeking talk therapy simultaneously. And, you know, that also typically once you start taking medication and once you start feeling better, that's usually when people stop taking it. However, you're starting to feel better.
Worst time to do. Yeah.
Yeah. You're starting to feel better because it's starting to work.
Right.
So definitely keep in contact with your psychiatrist and your psychologist and, you know, make sure that you are sticking to your treatment plan and figuring out what's best for you.
Absolutely.
But I'm curious if you've, through the process of like taking medication and kind of recognizing these patterns for yourself, like what are the triggers for those really low points? You know, like when you started kind of down that path of starting to feel suicidal, like were there specific things that you can identify that triggered that for you? And if there's those patterns that come up?
I mean, I know that stuff with my dad is a huge trigger. And so I actually just got to the point where I blocked his number. I didn't even say goodbye. And it's really hard because like, it's your dad. And like, I'm so much older than my siblings that like, I remembered like the good guy more than they do, because he got progressively worse over time.
Yeah.
And so it's so hard when you like remember like that cute young guy, like in his mid to late 30s, who was a cute dad, but also had like a really bad temper. Like, you know what I mean? So you struggle with this battle. And I think for me lately, it's been a huge grieving process, because like, it's like my dad died. Like, and I don't get to say goodbye because it's just so toxic and painful for me. And I could have been like, hey dad, like, listen, like whatever. And I got to let it go. But I just one day, like, and things weren't even that bad at that moment in time. I just knew I couldn't keep doing this to myself. And because one, I deserve better, but two, I physically and emotionally cannot handle it.
Yeah. And did you feel like you had to fix it?
I always feel like I have to fix it. It's like, the thing is so for me, like, as much as my mom is like such a rock for our family, like I'm the rock for my family, even more so when that stuff was happening, because my mom was such a battered woman. But like my mom would, like my dad be screaming at my mom, calling her a cunt, calling her a whore because she wore like a thong. Like, no, dude, it's just about VPLs. No one wants visible panty lines. But he would just shame her and be like, you're such a whore for, you know what I mean? And so I would go and put my siblings like in my room, and I'd turn SpongeBob up really loud and like make sure that they were safe. And then I'd have to go be like the, you know, kind of voice for my mom and protect her, because she would just shut down. And so like, it's so hard for me because like everything with him, I always wanted him to fix himself and to be better. And he can't be better. And that's the thing, like with illness like that, like you want to help your people, but sometimes you have to let them go and help yourself, because it's so hard to be in that place where this person who refuses to help themselves. So I have to help myself, and I had to kind of like put my foot down, and it's really hard to do when you love someone, but also like you have to take care of yourself. Yeah.
Everything you're saying, like it's so real, everything you're saying. And that's one of the most frustrating things about, I think, mental illness and just even everything expanding outside of that. Just when someone's struggling with something, like you really can't force someone to get help that's not ready to get help themselves. And it sounds like your dad was not in that position to seek help. And from what it sounds like that he's, as a result of not getting help, found himself in situations where he's incarcerated, and perhaps maybe then court ordered to some kind of treatment. I don't know.
Right. He was all of that. He has like a really extensive list of things that and so his rage and his like, he was like harassing my mom and like, dude, you've been divorced for 10 years, like give it up. And he just like doesn't stop. And I think the last little bit of hope that I had was that, okay, this is rock bottom. Like he went to jail. Like he is in with,
and this was for the first time in fall.
Yeah. So my dad, that's the only time that I know of that like he's gone to jail. And it sucks because I was a part of the reason why he went, because like my mom has a restraining order against him and everything. And he violated that. And he really was going completely like ape shit. Like he just wasn't right. And it was to the point where I was like, I'm not only worried about all of us, but I'm worried about what he's going to do to himself. And he got out. And when he got out, he called me and I just burst into tears because you can't imagine what this person that you love has gone through in jail. And the worst part is that he didn't change, and he came back and he was saying the same toxic things. He's like, he's like, well, you put me there, you know? And I'm like, no, don't even try and manipulate this. I didn't put you there. You put yourself there.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you for saying that.
Yeah. And I'm like, if you like, they're not going to put you in jail because I'm like, oh, I made something up about like, no, like you, like,
good it's just,
and so for me, it's like, I just had to let it go. And it's really hard, you know, and to like let go of these people who are still very much alive, but they have to be dead to you in order for you to be okay.
Yeah. And I think it's so hard when it comes to family and that kind of dynamic because your friends and stuff, you know, or exes and stuff, that's, I think, a little bit easier to say, you know, okay, this person is toxic and I can't have them in my life anymore. I need to separate from that relationship. But when it's family, you know, that's so different. We feel so connected to our family, and that's like a, you know, for the rest of your life kind of thing. So to have nothing actually happen where that person is literally physically gone and out of your life, but where you have to make that decision because, you know, because you're self-aware, because you're very intelligent, because you're, you know, thinking clear-headedly, like you understand that this person is, while they may be family, but they are just so toxic to me right now and not willing to help themselves. So I have to do what's going to be best for me and for, you know, the other people around me that are being hurt. And it takes so much strength to do that. Like I hope you know how big of a fucking badass you are to deal with all of this and to not, I know some of it gets through, and that's where, you know, we have the struggle with depression and some of the unhealthy relationships that we'll get into in a bit. But, you know, yes, some of that stuff does get through, but at the same time, like you're sticking up for yourself and like, you're working shit. And like, that takes a lot. So like, I really, really hope that you recognize those things about yourself.
The biggest thing that I want to share to anyone listening is that it is hard. And it's even harder because he never hit us. Because there wasn't, I wasn't bleeding. There wasn't a bruise. There wasn't that. And so my mom stayed with him they were together for like 30 years at that point, but she stayed for so long because in my mind, honestly, I thought like I should have called the cops on my dad 1,000 times. But like one, I thought that was, you know, I was going to get grounded. And two, like, it was like, oh, hey, like that's being so dramatic. Like he just got mad. Like people get mad, like, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
And if you are listening to me right now speaking, anyone out there, if you are looking for that sign, you need that little bit of courage to leave, just know that verbal abuse is just as abusive as physical abuse. Plain and simple. Like that's it. Like you don't have to put up with that. You don't have to let people tear you down and abuse you and talk to you in awful ways and break your home and punch holes in the walls. That's not normal. So if you're looking for a reason to leave, this is it. And DM me, I'll help you, DM Taylor, like whatever. And I'll help you figure it out, like to the best of my abilities. Like, but don't ever feel like you're trapped and like, you don't like you're being dramatic, because you're not. Like you deserve all the peace in your own home, and no one should have to walk on eggshells ever.
Absolutely. And I also will provide some resources to crisis hotlines in the episode notes description to check out. And yeah, I think that's one of the largest misconceptions around domestic violence and abuse, that, you know, it's not really serious until it's physical. And there already is such this history of like women being hysterical and just being so emotional and dramatic, and, you know,
she must have her period. Like,
yeah. And all of those things that are,
I hate it.
that are so ridiculous. And like, honestly, we cannot let those things stop us from trusting our gut and trusting our instincts and standing up for ourselves, because like we got to, we have got to stick up for ourselves. And the language piece is so important. And I remember on my time on Paradise, you know, there was not even an argument, really. It was a conversation where then the person I was dating at that time had said, you know, oh, like, don't even, like, fuck off, like, whatever. And like in a very serious way. And I was like, excuse me? I was like, what? After I had just had a conversation 2 days prior explaining where language is so important to me, because I have been in abusive relationships, and that's such a slippery slope, and that, you know, I'm not going to stand for someone speaking to me that way and making me feel small and disrespecting me. And it was like insane to me to even experience the backlash from like people, social media wise, America wise, viewers, that people thought I was being so dramatic and that I was exaggerating, and that like, oh, I need to just brush it off. And I was like, this is so sad to me. Like, people think that that's acceptable and that that's normal, and it's not. It's just not. Yeah. It's not the way you speak to someone that you love. And I think it's so important that we stand up for that. Okay, it's time for a little break. We have a new sponsor to the pod that I want to share called Eucalypso. And Eucalypso makes ultra soft sheets from 100% organic eucalyptus fibers, which, I mean, if you guys don't know what eucalyptus is yet, it smells amazing, first of all. But these sheets are actually the perfect balance of soft, breathable, and they're gentle on the skin. They're perfect for a night of sleep. And I am like such a frail little old lady, and I'm always so cold. But my boyfriend, Canada Man, is such a hot sleeper, actually. So I always try to steal his body warmth. But we also then at the same time have difficulty sleeping at the same climate. So these Eucalypso sheets are naturally temperature regulating and are 3 times more breathable than cotton, creating a comfortable sleeping environment for both of us. Like I said earlier, they're also hypoallergenic. So you're not letting your cotton sheets break you out because you don't want to, you know, I always find that I have to replace my pillow sheets frequently because I don't want to break out. But these sheets are hypoallergenic, meaning that they actually pamper your skin while you sleep. And they're sustainable. They are milled in Austria in small batches, and 99.9% of materials are recycled and reused in their production process, which help protect the environment. They are honestly the most eco-friendly sheets in the market, and they're amazing. So I'm so happy to partner with them for the podcast. And you guys can find them at eucalypsohome.com. If you go to eucalypsohome.com and use promo code Taylor, you can take 15% off with free shipping on your entire purchase. Again, that's EUCALYPSO home.com, and use promo code Taylor for 15% off with free shipping on your entire purchase. So make sure you guys check them out, and we can get back to the show.
I think something that's really challenging, and like I know people freaking love all those Bravo shows and all that crap, but there's so many like media things that we let ourselves like consume that where people have these like out of line arguments and things like, yes, it's you're allowed to be upset, and you're allowed to be mad, and you're allowed to kind of have like a heated dialogue. But like, there are so many things that like are unacceptable that I just feel like we've become a little bit numb to.
Absolutely.
Just because of all of the things that we like let ourselves watch and just be like, oh, like life's allowed to be that dramatic. Like, no, this isn't the most dramatic season yet. This is our life. Like, it doesn't need to be like that. Do you know what I mean? So just keep that in mind, people, when, if you feel like, if you're constantly feeling like shit in a relationship, or like even like with a friendship, like, just lose it. Like, you know what? You don't have time for that shit. Only let happy, positive vibes in your life. That's that's the only way to go.
Yeah. And so we've touched a lot on your family life and how that's kind of impacted you, and the relationship with your dad. And I'm curious how that's impacted some of your like romantic relationships. I mean, our parents and our family is often where we learn what love looks like and what we're deserving of. And I'm curious how that's panned out for you. I mean, I did not watch your season of Paradise, and we have not spoken prior, so I don't know what your other relationship history is, but I'm curious how that dynamic within your family and with your dad has impacted, what you see and how you are in your romantic relationships.
So the problem with having such a shithole dad is that everything looks like an upgrade.
Yeah.
And so that's something for me that I'm learning, and I'm still continuing to learn. And it's really weird. It's really weird to be like, once you get out of something, you're like, no, that wasn't healthy, and that way, and that way, like an XYZ. But at the time, you don't realize, because, hey, like, so, all right, for instance, my high school boyfriend, we dated for almost 7 years, like the whole time in high school, and then some afterwards. And, I thought I really loved him. We dated forever. He used to cheat on me all the time. And I knew, and I would find out about it, and then we'd have like some huge thing and whatever. And so obviously I'm like a psycho girl, and I would go through his phone, which obviously you're not supposed to do, because if you trust people, you don't do. But every time I would go, like, the thing is, like, I should go through your phone and find nothing and be so mortified that I did that. You have no idea that I've gone through your phone, because like, I'm so embarrassed, because you're so perfect and I have no reason not to trust you. But every time, like, the worst part was he left his AIM up on my computer. Throwback.
Yep.
really dating myself right now. He left his AIM up on my computer, and then he like went back to school, and all these IMs would come up. And they, like, I couldn't see what he was saying, but I could see what they were saying. And it was so inappropriate. And I finally figured it out. And he was cheating on me all the time. And I let it happen because he was better than my dad.
Yeah. It was a rationalizing of, well, my dad didn't cheat on my mom.
Right. And it's just like, oh, okay. Like, yeah, like, I mean, but he doesn't yell, and he loves me. And I think the biggest thing that I've learned from all these shithole relationships that I've put myself through is that I'm just trying to find someone to love me. And like, I think that that's so sad sometimes, because I settle for so much less than I deserve because someone gives me an inch. And you know what? It's 2019, and it's time to be a badass who doesn't need a man to like make her happy and feel loved. Like, you know what I mean? You have to realize that love comes in friendships, and, my sister and my mom, and even my dog. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
That
Like,
unconditional love from animals is just amazing.
Yeah. And so there's so many things that I've put myself through because like, I'm trying to fill this void that I have. And I like for me, like, I want nothing more than to be married and to have a family. Like, that's something that all of the hard work and things that I do in my life, that will mean nothing to me if I don't get to have a family. Like, that's just who I am. And it's just really hard because in that journey, you have to remember to set the bar high and not settle for people who cheat on you, and people who body shame you, and people who are controlling and possessive. And then there's boring people, and you got to let them go too.
Yeah. Yeah. I was going to say, We're going to take a little break to share with you guys one of our favorite sponsors of the podcast, Shoe Dazzle. And honestly, they have literally the best shoes. Like no matter what kind of shoes you're looking for, Shoe Dazzle is the place to get your shoe fix. And, spring is coming up. So maybe you want to check out some of their hot new styles that drop every week. They have the latest trends. You can shop as a guest, but I'm going to tell you right now that shopping as a VIP member is definitely the best way to go. You get this really fun little style quiz that takes 60 seconds to fill out. And then that actually personalizes your shopping experience. And VIPs like me can save 30% off of most retail prices all day, every day, plus free shipping and returns. Does not get much better than that, except it does. You also get 30% off every single day. It's a flexible membership, so each month you can choose to shop or to skip. And honestly, you guys, now is the time to sign up as a VIP because right now you'll actually get your first pair of shoes for 75% off as low as $10. Honestly, where can you beat that? 75% off as low as $10, shoes for $10. This is an exclusive deal for podcast listeners only. So make sure that you go to shoedazzle.com/aboutit to get it. That's shoedazzle.com/aboutit to step up your look today for as low as $10. shoedazzle.com/aboutit. So make sure you check it out, you guys. And thank you so much to Shoe Dazzle for being a wonderful sponsor and partner for the pod. And now we can get back to the show. What is the list of things, of 5 things that you won't settle for less than?
Oh crap. Okay, this one. That I won't settle for less than?
Yeah.
I don't even know how to answer that. That's a good one.
Or maybe that you won't settle for.
Oh crap. I'm getting all dyslexic and ADD right now. And I'm so many things. Where do I go?
So I don't
know.
I was going to say, I can think of 5.
What are your 5?
I would say 5 things I will not settle for I don't know which one it is. But I won't settle for a relationship with abusive language, fuck yous and shut the fuck up. And I swear a lot.
That's a hard no.
Yeah. I swear a lot.
I'm from Boston, but it's how I emphasize, oh, that's fucking great.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm not going to ever curse directly at you or put you down in that way.
You know the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's real clear difference, guys.
Yeah.
So that is number 1. Number 2, I won't settle for dishonesty. If we've got 3 strikes of you lying about something significant to me, then this relationship to me is a no-go. It's a no for me, dog.
I can't tell you how many times I've said that this week.
I feel like I've seen several memes with it recently that it's just in my head that I'm yeah, it's a no for me, dog.
So good.
Third, I would say, this actually is a hard list to think of. I'm I know them when I'm dating, Third, I'm not settling for language. I'm not settling for lying. This might sound mean, but I'm not settling for someone that lacks motivation.
I 1,000%. So that's why there was kind of boring guy I dated. I hate, because he was such a nice guy, but he just was so okay, living a very, very safe life. And I don't know.
No, that's huge. To me, I'm you need to have motivation and be able to take risks with your life and, not just staying yes, a comfortable life in one way sounds very nice, but at the same time, that's not where the fun is and that's not where the growth is and that's not where the connecting happens, I want to have a life where I'm challenged in terms of, personal growth and that's really important to me that person has some motivation in their life.
Totally.
I can't think of 2 other ones. Maybe we do
3. I know,
3.
so it's hard. So this is just I'm just going to agree with you. I don't even want to do my whole list of it. I did date a guy who was body shaming me. Mm-hmm. And that was really,
not
really
cool.
toxic in so many ways. But here's the thing. So I'm all about being forgiving in a relationship. And, you know, no relationship is ever going to be perfect. And, you know, you kind of have to have a little wiggle room with some people. But I think I get a little too carried away with how much wiggle room I give people, again, because, hey, they're not my dad.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like there's forgiveness and then there's like just letting someone completely take advantage of you.
Mm-hmm. So there was this guy that I dated so I met him before I went on the show, but then he was going over to like Russia and I was like, cool, bye, never going to see you again.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I came home from the show, I was visiting my sister and he happened to like live like an hour from where she was. And he was like, hey, like, why don't you like come down, like, you know, whatever, and we'll hang out. And I was like, fuck it. Like, sure. Mm-hmm. And, even though there had already been body shaming stuff that had gone on, I just kind of was, you know, you feel this weird rejection from the show and you kind of hope that like, I think highly of myself, you know? And so like when you go home week 4, you're like, wah, wah. Like you're like, okay, you're like, maybe I'm not that great. Like you need to calm down, Caroline. Like,
I think regardless of what time you go home, that period of time between when you left and before the show starts airing is like, you just need comfort. And like, you've just been through such a weird experience that it's like, you want to feel good about yourself.
Yeah. You know, like at the end of the day, like we all just want a little love, you know? So I went, and stupidly started dating this guy, like, and he was body shaming me so bad. But on the other hand, he was like all the things I was like wanting. Like he, you know, talked about a family and he talked about, you know, just like he checked all those things off on my list. Like, oh, he was, you know, really sweet with kids and he like wanted a family and he was open to talking to me about that.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, that's one of the things that like, it's weird because at one point you maybe think like, okay, like he thinks this is really funny. Like maybe I'm being too serious and I need to just like laugh it off. But then it's like, no, like that actually did really hurt me. And if someone really does love and care about you and is going to have, you know, a good, healthy relationship with you, like they're going to listen to that, you know, like they're going to actually listen to you and respect that and respect your body. And I mean, he clearly was not at all respecting your body or how you felt about it.
But he was just like, honestly, like just a mega jock. And like, he's like, oh, like that's how I talk in the locker room. I'm like, cool. Like I'm not one of your buds. Like this isn't a locker room. I'm your girlfriend. So
yeah. And come on with the locker talk. I mean,
like, that's a fucking shit excuse.
Yeah. And locker room talk is not like, that doesn't make it okay what you're saying because it's in a locker room full of men. Like what you're saying is still fucked up and is still just disrespectful. Like
this isn't a locker room. The end.
Yeah, it's not okay to just grab women by the pussies. It's just not.
No, it's not. But the problem was that so I was at his parents' house and I saw the way his father spoke to his mother, and she was like, "You'll get used to it eventually." And I was like,
no.
And I was, and in that, I'm glad that you gasped just as much as I did because I was like, no. And it was that moment where I was like, wow, this is over.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be someone who gets used to it. Do you know what I mean? It's like, no. And like, no, because the biggest reason why also it was over is because he's never seen it like just that there's any repercussions for that kind of action because his mom just kind of bent over like and just like rolled over and just like, I don't care.
Yeah.
Like,
well, there were never any kind of consequences for speaking to someone else like that. He saw that was reinforced. He saw that was appropriate. He saw that was okay. And again, this is where I think it is so fucking important that you stick up for yourself and you trust your gut and, you know, you speak up and you say, this is not acceptable. Like, I will not accept being spoken to like that. And I'm like, I don't give a fuck if you think I'm being dramatic. Like, this honestly, is what I'm willing to accept for myself.
Be dramatic. If that's what it takes for you to get what you actually deserve, like set the bar high. It sucks. And sometimes it's kind of lonely. I'm not going to lie, but find good people. Just find good people. Like they don't have to be like relationships, but just find like great people to share your life with. Like I have some of the best friends in the whole world that I could like, I'm so grateful that I have them in my life. Like, so you know what? It's not like I'm like, wow, like I have nothing. Cause at the end of the day, like you do have people who love you and who you can share your life with. It doesn't always have to just be, a significant other.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever find that in those relationships that were abusive in one way or another that you ended up isolating yourself at all?
Hardcore in the 7-year one.
Okay, yeah.
And a little bit in my big relationship, but just that one, I can't quite put my finger on what exactly. Like that one's really hard because I really loved that guy, but I definitely pulled away from friends and stuff a little, and I don't know. I don't really know exactly what happened there. It's a tricky one.
Yeah. And was this last guy that we spoke about, was he kind of the only relationship that you had where body shaming was present?
Yeah, because so the first one was, I was like really young and whatever. So, you have your 11-year-old body that's just, you can eat 6 pizzas a day and nothing happens to you. And then the next one I was training for Miss Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. So I was
the pageant life, that's like a whole other ball game.
That's I'm so fucked in the head. We could go on and on, but all my things and all the reasons why. So I was like in really good shape for that. And then the next guy, I met him like when I was just giving up my title. Mm-hmm. But so then obviously, when that all ends, you kind of slowly put on a little bit more weight and you're not 11 pounds soaking wet anymore.
Yeah. Because you were Miss Florida? Massachusetts.
Miss Massachusetts. Yes. Miss Massachusetts 2014. Mm-hmm. And I think the thing that was really hard for me with that one is that I really loved this one guy. I really, really loved him. Like I thought he was it. And it was really hard to kind of, and the thing was like, we didn't break up because we didn't love each other. It was really, and it's one of those things where we're just like, hey, like this is not the right timing. And he needed to go be single and not be whatever, with any, and which obviously like is like, hey, like, cool, you don't love me because you freaking are going to go be a slut, but that's fine. But like, it's hard because like we did love each other a lot, and it's really hard to like end something like that and have it be so messy and there's so many feelings there.
Yeah.
But then he ended up going on to date someone who actually was 11 pounds, but like also a realtor, also from Massachusetts, and like does like interior design stuff. So I just was like,
oh my God.
So, and like brunette, brown eyes, like whatever. And I was you literally found the skinnier version of me. Okay.
Wow.
And obviously I don't know much about her, but like we had mutual friends and stuff. So it was really hard to be like,
yeah, it didn't feel very good.
And then the next guy after him was the one who was body shaming me. And you're like, cool, this is great. I feel great about myself.
Yeah. Did you ever like struggle with any of that prior to that? Like with body image or?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I grew up like doing modeling stuff and pageant stuff. And it's so hard when you like work so hard to have this like insane body. And then like the whole entertainment industry in itself is just so effed because, like, you know what I mean? There's just like, oh, hey, like, no, she's kind of chunky. Like, she's not good enough in this. And that like totally messes with your head too. And like, it was the best thing that I could have ever done to get out of that. And then I was like, oh, cool, I'll go on The Bachelor. There'll be no backlash there whatsoever. Like, this is healthy.
Yep. This will be great for my mental health. Yes.
So good. Like, motherfucking people come up with like accounts. It's like, oh, there was one person who was harassing me nonstop, and I just started like crying hysterically. Like, they're like, oh, Miss Piggy, Caroline Lunny, Miss Bacon. Like, of course you had to go to Massachusetts to win a pageant because nowhere else, you wouldn't be able to win anywhere else. And I was just like,
oh my God. People on the internet are terrible sometimes. And
I would like, please send a photo of what you look like. I'd love to see it.
Yeah.
You babe, you absolute fox. Show yourself. Like,
show your face.
Because they always say it's like someone who is like above you is never going to attack someone below. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, well, we shame and judge people in areas where we feel shame and judgment. So if you are feeling like a shitty parent, or you're insecure about your parenting skills, you're going to judge the fuck out of other parents. And when you see them do things, you're going to hold them to a totally different standard. But when you're like feeling real confident in your parenting abilities and you're like, you know, yeah, I feel really good about where I'm at with being a mom or a dad. And when you see another parent struggling, you're just going to want to help them. You're going to want to be like, oh, it's okay. Like, your kid's throwing a temper tantrum in the grocery store, but I'm just going to give you a smile and not a side eye because I've been there and it's okay.
Parenting's fucking hard. I don't even have kids and I know that. Like, I've nannied. I'm the oldest of like 21 cousins. I've got my younger siblings and I'm like, I know that shit's not hard. Like, even like now as like a single girl, like I'll see people in the grocery store like, you got this. Like, if you're like, their kids freaking out, I'm like, you can do it. Like, let's just like get behind people and start supporting them, because not only like does that make them feel like less like shit, and when they're already, you know, don't kick them when they're down, but like you're going to feel better when you are nice to people. Like, I swear to God, next time one of you people who's listening, when you're going to go get coffee or something, just throw out a compliment. Just like even if you like don't even like love the part, it's not like a Gretchen or no Regina George thing where it's like, oh my God, I love that skirt. And like, I hate that skirt. It's not like that. Don't like be like, give a fake.
It's a genuine compliment.
But just find something and just like, and say like just something and just say it, because you know what? You just want to make someone feel good. And you don't have to mean it, but it's just like a thing where you're like, you know what? I care about this human being and I just want to bring them a little bit of happiness and joy. Because you know, when someone compliments you on something, you're like, oh, okay. And you have like a little bit more pep in your step and you just feel a little bit better about your day. And it's just like, people just need to be nicer. It's like, it's not that hard.
Yeah.
Like, it's really not.
And especially on the internet, when you have a moment, you know, it's not like you're in person, you're just word vomiting things. Like, you have seconds to pause and think about what you're going to type before you hit send. And I think it's really important to be intentional about the words that you're using and really actually thinking about what it is that you are saying to that person and making sure that, you know, you would say it to that person's face, because all the people online that you're commenting to are real people who really do actually see your comments, and it can be really hard. And
I read all of them. Like, people like, you probably won't see this. And I'm like, no, like, I'm not fucking Justin Bieber. Like,
and I guarantee you, Justin Bieber sees some of those comments too.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
I know. Yeah, it's not an easy thing to deal with.
And the biggest thing is, cool, like, you want to be an asshole, like, just don't. Here's why. Like,
pro tip, just don't.
Just don't. Here's why. So I'm a huge lover of, I read all the self-help books and the get your mind right and all the badass boss babe bullshit, whatever, all the things that are like, hey, this will make you feel good. I read it. Like, currently reading Girl Wash Your Face, and holy fuck, that woman's my spirit animal. Everyone go read that. But the biggest one for me was You Are a Badass. And there's like the time. Oh, you should. And just put it on audiobooks or something. But this woman, she gives us the solid tip, people. It's like negativity. Like, if you even let just like a little bit in, it's like, it's just think of it like black water, like coming in and diluting your clear water. I swear to God, anytime you let a little bit of negativity in, you know what? It lets more in and then more in. If you just kind of like, no comment. Like, and then you just kind of put up your hand and like build this wall for yourself. You're like, no, negativity doesn't live here. And you do that for yourself. I swear to God, the way that your whole life is going to change and just feel more positive and happy. Like, it works. So like, whether someone wants to come to you with all their bullshit and their negativity, and like, yeah, I don't want to listen to it. Or the second you're about to spit some shit out of your mouth, just shut up. Just don't, just shut up. Because you know what? Do it for yourself. Because you clearly aren't going to do it for other people because you're about to be a shithead. But let's be a little selfish here and let's just be more positive. And so just shut up. Like, it's that simple. It really is.
There's that song, I forget what it is, but it's like, just shut up, and shut up. So, I forget what song that is, but.
Oh, that's going to bug me. So anyone listening, if you guys know what that song is, can people comment on podcasts? I don't know how that works, but like, can you DM me?
Send an email or DM or comment on it. Yeah,
guys, find a way to tell us what song that is, because I'm not going to think of it.
Just shut up. You know what I'm talking about?
But I feel like it's like, everybody, but that's not, it's not it.
I don't know. This is going to bug me the rest of the day.
I'm merging like 3 songs in my head right now. I don't know what's happening.
Well, I honestly, I just love you. I so love you. And I wish Florida wasn't so far away because I want to hang.
Honestly, Seattle is on my top, like, I keep getting drawn to all these other places, but the place that I want to go and be a tourist the most is the words are hard, Caroline, speak. I want to go to Seattle really badly. More or less. That's what I'm trying to say.
Please do. You will definitely have a place to stay and a tour guide because it's my favorite thing to do is to tour guide Seattle because I just love the city so much. I think it's so wonderful and I want people to enjoy it and love it as much as I do. So.
Yeah, it seems like a really cool spot. So I'm going to have to actually like make it up there because it just needs to happen. Well, thank you so much for having me on here and just chatting about all of it. I feel bad because I didn't even tell people like what I do I could just go on all day about all my fucked up shit. But the point of the story is you're not alone. Talk to people. The thing is like everyone has their shit that they go through. And I think the biggest thing for me that helped was realizing how many people go through it. Mm-hmm. And I hate to say it, that I'm not that special. Like, because I think you create these excuses
you do.
For yourself when you think you're like, oh, but I've had it so hard. It's like, hey, guess what? So has everybody.
And just knowing other people like can understand and empathize what you're going through. That like you may feel like no one has ever felt like this before, or oh my gosh, this is like the lowest anyone could have ever felt ever. And it's like, no, when you actually just take that chance to talk about it or share with one person, like it really can make a total difference, not just like within yourself, but with your relationships and within your community. So it is so important. And again, that's why I wanted to have you on because you are taking that chance to share publicly and be vulnerable. And I'm very thankful that you were open to being even more vulnerable with us on here. And, I really, really hope that, if you feel like you are in a dark place and you feel like you can't reach out to anyone, I hope that at least you can add me to your list of people that you can reach out to because you are like such a fucking badass. And honestly, I didn't know most of the things that we talked about today about you. And you're just so fucking strong. Like, and I don't want you to forget that.
You're sweet. Thank you. Yeah. I've got a good mama and she, she puts things in perspective and, I have just a solid group of people around me. And I think that that's so important. And, we're all just making it up as we go. Like, I think I love when people are like, you're so accomplished and you have your shit together. And I laugh out loud hysterically every time I read it. Cause I'm like, dude, I do not.
Yeah.
But
you're working it.
Yeah. You gotta try. Just keep trying.
Yeah.
It's not perfect and it's messy. And, some days I like literally high five myself for brushing my damn teeth.
Yep.
But like, you're like, wow, you have a dumpster of breath. Like get in there. Like,
yes.
But I mean, it's all about the little victories and one day at a time. Like we don't have to, Rome wasn't built in a day. And I think that that's so hard when we see people on social media who like, seem like they have it all together. And you know what?
Everyone's got a story.
Everyone's got their shit. So
if
well, thank you.
If people want to find you, where would they go to find you?
Hit me up on Instagram. That's my drug of choice. So it's just at Caroline Lunny, Lunny.
And if you want to buy a house in South Florida.
Oh yeah. If you guys want to escape, honestly, that was a huge thing for me with my, like the seasonal depression in Boston was so bad. It's just, it's so much nicer to be in the sunshine. So if you guys want to escape wherever the cold, sad place that you're living in, if you want to come live in Florida, it's so nice. It's just so much happier and your quality of life is so much better there. But
and you're a bomb ass real estate agent.
Yeah, I try. I'm working on it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much again for sharing and being vulnerable with us. And take care of yourself after we get off the phone. Do something for you today to take care of yourself.
I went to Soul Cycle already today. So
look at you.
That's the best thing. Like when you're having a bad day, go sweat it out. Go to Soul Cycle.
Good. Yeah.
Dance on that bike. All right.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much.
No worries. Talk to you later. Bye, babe.
That does it for today's episode. Thank you so much, guys, for tuning in and listening to this conversation with Caroline. She's so amazing, and I'm so happy that I finally got to touch base with her and learn more about her story. I mean, just an incredibly strong, resilient woman. And I think we all need to remember that about ourselves, that, you know, no matter how much shit we have to deal with sometimes, that we can get through it, and that we are so much more resilient and powerful and stronger than we even realize sometimes. So thank you guys for coming along on this journey with us, and feel free to leave reviews on iTunes. I'm still checking those and really appreciate the feedback you guys are giving me in terms of what topics you guys like covered, and just kind of what you're liking about the show. If you guys have certain topics that you do want to see covered, feel free to send an email to ask.letstalkaboutit@gmail.com. And with all of that, I hope that you guys have a wonderful rest of your week from wherever you are. And to just remember that you are very, very powerful, and you are so, so, so strong. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you guys next time.
This podcast is brought to you by Wave Podcast Network. Check out all of our shows, including the Brain Candy Podcast, I Don't Get It, Coffee Convos, and Let's Talk About It.